All right, everybody, let's talk vendor delays.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're like the project manager's worst nightmare.
Yeah,
right?
they can be.
You plan everything out so meticulously, only to have like a crucial piece arrive late and just throw a whole timeline into chaos.
Yep.
It's enough to make you want to pull your hair out.
I've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't worry, fear not. Today, we're going to dive deep into some practical solutions that you can actually use.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about this topic is that it's not just about like avoiding the delays, right?
Right.
It's about making your whole project run smoother. It's like
Okay.
a well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm
And-
intrigued. What's on the menu for today's deep dive?
So we've got two great sources we're going to be pulling from today. First, we have a white paper titled Managing Vendor Delays.
Okay.
And this is going to give us like a structured approach.
Okay.
And then second, we have a real-world discussion from a professional networking platform, and it's called You're Facing Timeline Delays with Vendors.
All right, so we got the expert strategies and then some on-the-ground wisdom.
Exactly. We're going to combine it all.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what's the mission?
Yeah.
What should our listeners be taking away from all of this?
So by the end of this, you're going to have a toolkit
Okay.
of strategies, tools, even some like cutting-edge AI solutions to help you manage those pesky vendor delays.
All right, sign me up.
Yeah.
Let's start by acknowledging the elephant in the room.
Okay.
That white paper really digs into the pain points of vendor delays.
Uh-huh.
Disrupted timelines, budget, overruns, compromised scope.
Yep.
Sound familiar to anyone?
Oh, it's a universal struggle.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's important to understand is the ripple effect, you know?
Oh, yeah.
One small delay, it just snowballs.
Yeah.
Creates bottlenecks, strains resources, and ultimately impacts, like, the entire project outcome.
Okay, so we get delays are bad,
Right.
but let's get to the good stuff.
Right.
What can we do about it?
Yes.
Both of our sources stress the importance of good old-fashioned communication.
Oh, it all starts there. Right.
Communication is
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
Constant updates, clearly defined milestones, and agreed-upon escalation plans.
So it's not just about sending a quick email every now and then.
No.
It's about fostering a culture of open communication,
And there-
transparency throughout the project.
And that's where project management tools come in.
Okay.
You know, they become your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
The white paper mentioned a few popular ones.
Okay.
Monday.com, Asana, you know, just to keep everyone organized and on track.
Yeah, those are familiar names, but it's not just about managing tasks, right?
Right.
I'm guessing data plays a role here too?
Absolutely. Data is power.
Right.
You know, the white paper highlights the importance of using data visualization tools
Okay.
like Power BI and Tableau.
Okay.
By analyzing vendor data, we can actually start to spot trends and even predict potential delays.
Wait, hold up. So we're talking about using data to see into the future of our projects.
Kinda, yeah.
That sounds almost like magic.
Well, not magic, but pretty close.
By analyzing past performance lead times and other factors,
Okay.
we can get a much clearer picture of like what to expect from our vendors and identify potential red flags
I love it.
early on.
So it's about getting ahead of those delays,
Yeah.
not just reacting to them after the fact.
Exactly.
Love that proactive approach.
Proactive is key.
So to take that even further, the white paper also dives into vendor management systems.
Yeah.
Things like SAP, Ariba, Coupa Jaggery.
Big names.
Okay, so these systems sound pretty heavy duty.
They are.
Are they for everyone?
They're more common in like larger organizations with those like complex vendor networks.
Okay.
But the core idea is to centralize
Yep.
all your vendor information and processes
All right.
from selection to contract management.
Gotcha.
This helps you track performance, manage risks, and ensure that everything's running smoothly.
So it's like having a single source of truth
Exactly.
for all things vendor related.
Yes.
But let's be realistic, no system is foolproof.
Sure.
Delays are going to happen.
That's where buffer time comes in. Okay.
Both sources really like hammer this home.
Yeah.
The importance of building realistic timelines with some breathing room built in.
You don't just hope for the best.
Yeah.
You plan for the unexpected.
Exactly, because as much as we like to think that everything will run perfectly smoothly, we all know that's rarely the case
Rarely the case
in the real world.
in the real world.
Right.
And that leads us to contingency planning.
Yes, always having a plan B and maybe even a plan C.
Okay.
You need to be prepared to pivot if things go south.
Okay. I'm getting a much better sense of how to approach this strategically.
Good.
But I need a concrete example.
Okay.
What does a contingency plan look like in action?
Okay, so let's say you're relying on a specific component from a
Great.
single vendor, and suddenly they get hit with a production delay.
Uh-oh.
Your contingency plan might involve, like, quickly identifying a different supplier
Okay.
or looking for, like, a similar component that could work as a substitute.
So it's about having options and being able to adapt quickly when things don't go as planned. Exactly.
Makes sense. But now I'm curious about this whole AI thing we teased earlier.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about how AI is changing the game when it comes to vendor delays?
Absolutely. So the white paper actually highlights Aekam AI as a potential game changer.
Okay.
In this space, it's an AI-powered tool that uses historical vendor data to forecast potential delays.
So it's like having a crystal ball that can tell you which vendors are most likely to cause problems down the line.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But what if I'm not a tech whiz?
Yeah.
Can anyone use this AI stuff?
Yeah.
Or do I need to be like a data scientist?
No, that's the beauty of it. Aekam AI is designed to be user-friendly even for those without like a technical background.
Okay.
You can literally ask questions in plain English.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So I can just ask, hey, Ecom, is this vendor going to delay my project?
Yeah.
And it'll actually give me an answer.
It will, and the answer will be based on a data-driven assessment of their past performance, current conditions, and other relevant factors.
That sounds incredibly helpful.
It is.
It's like having a whole team of analysts working behind the scenes to give you the information you need.
Exactly.
That's awesome. But what really caught my eye was this scenario simulation feature mentioned in the white paper.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
That's where Aekam AI really shines.
Right.
So imagine you're facing a potential delay
Okay.
with a critical vendor.
All right.
With Aekam, you can simulate different what-if scenarios
Okay.
to see how that delay might play out
Okay.
and explore different strategies to mitigate the impact.
I need a real-world example
Yeah.
to wrap my head around this. Give me a scenario.
Okay, so let's say a vendor tells you that a crucial component will be delivered 2 weeks late.
Not good.
Right.
At all.
With Aekam, you could simulate different options.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what if we expedite shipping?
Okay.
What if we try to find a similar component from a different vendor?
Oh.
The AI will run simulations based on historical data, cost factors, other variables,
Okay.
to show you the potential outcomes.
Oh. Wow, that's incredibly powerful.
It is.
It's like taking the guesswork out of decision-making.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing there's more to successful vendor management than just data and fancy software.
Oh, there is.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what we'll dive into next.
Okay.
So remember that professional networking platform discussion we mentioned?
Yeah.
Those folks on the front lines had a lot to say about the human element
Right.
of vendor management, which is just as important as the technical side of things.
All right, I'm ready to hear what they had to say.
Okay,
Let's dive into that wisdom from the trenches.
let's go. So one of the most common threads in that discussion was the importance of like building strong relationships
Yeah.
with your vendors.
Okay, but how do you actually go about building that kind of relationship?
Right.
It's not like you're like grabbing coffee with your vendors every week.
No, it's not about like forced socializing or anything like that.
Right.
It's about approaching the relationship with a mindset
Okay.
of mutual respect, open communication, and a willingness to collaborate.
So how does that play out in real life? What are
Yeah.
some tangible things people can do?
Okay, so one person in the discussion put it this way.
Okay.
Deliberate challenges with partners help partners develop a feasible plan.
Mhm.
It's about seeing your vendors as part of the solution,
Okay.
not just the source of the problem.
So instead of pointing fingers when a delay happens, you're working together
Right.
to find a solution that benefits both sides.
Exactly.
I like that approach.
And another key piece of advice that came up repeatedly was the importance of setting clear expectations up front.
Oh,
One person mentioned including key milestones and project requirements in a nomination letter.
a nomination letter?
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay, so it's a formal document outlining the scope of work timelines, deliverables,
Okay.
and any specific requirements for the vendor.
So it's like a roadmap
Exactly.
for the entire engagement.
It is.
So it's about making sure everyone is on the same page from day one,
Yes.
leaving no room for misinterpretations or surprises down the line.
Precisely.
Mm.
And remember that PDCA cycle we mentioned earlier? Another person in the discussion talked about using that cycle
Okay.
to document reviews with the vendor.
Right, the Plando Check Act cycle?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So it's about having a structured approach to communication, feedback, and accountability.
Throughout the project lifecycle.
Exactly. But even with the best communication and planning,
Yeah.
we all know that like unexpected challenges can pop up.
Oh, yeah, those unknown unknowns,
Mm.
as someone so eloquently put it in the discussion.
That's the one.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we become proactive risk management ninjas?
Yeah, so they emphasize the importance of thinking ahead and anticipating potential problems
Okay.
before they arise.
Yeah.
One person said, always plan for plan B in advance when your timelines are stringent.
So it's about having that backup plan ready to go just in case things go sideways.
Right, and another person offered this advice. One thing that I've found helpful is to stay updated on the project requirements in advance to plan the range of alternative service providers so that you move the work allocation accordingly.
So it's not just about having a plan B. It's about having like multiple options
Yeah,
and being able to pivot quickly if your primary vendor falls through.
exactly. Having those alternatives lined up in advance can save a lot of headaches down the road.
For sure.
And it's important to remember that risk management isn't like a one-time thing.
Right.
It's an ongoing process that requires constant vigilance and adjustment.
So keeping your finger on the pulse of the project,
Yes.
monitoring progress, identifying potential red flags,
Yeah.
and being prepared to make changes as needed.
Exactly. Now, on top of communication and risk management, the folks in that discussion had some great insights about using technology
Yeah.
to streamline the vendor management process.
Okay, so we've talked about those enterprise-level vendor management systems, but I have a feeling these folks were talking about more accessible tools.
Right, like ones that anyone can use.
Yeah.
You're right. So while those sophisticated systems are great for like large organizations, even simple tools like shared calendars, project management software, and spreadsheets can make a world of difference.
Yeah, those are the workhorses of project management.
They are.
But what specifically were they saying about how to use these tools effectively?
Okay, so one person specifically mentioned using project management tools to monitor milestones, update the project plan, and document any changes.
Okay, so having a central hub
Yeah,
where everyone can access the most up-to-date information about the project,
exactly.
track progress in real time.
Yes. And they also talked about using data to track vendor performance metrics
Okay.
and identify potential issues early on.
So it's not just about using data for like high-level analysis.
Right.
It's also about using it in a more granular way to monitor individual vendors.
Yes,
Spot any warning signs that might indicate a potential delay.
exactly. One person even suggested conducting a thorough impact assessment to identify affected tasks and dependencies if a delay does occur.
So if one vendor falls behind you, you can quickly assess how that will impact the rest of the project.
Right.
Make informed decisions about how to adjust the timeline or allocate resources.
Precisely. And of course, clear communication with the vendor is paramount.
Yeah.
They stress the importance of understanding the root cause of a delay and working collaboratively to establish a revised timeline.
It's about treating your vendors as partners, even when things get tough.
It is.
Okay, this is all starting to feel like a really solid toolkit for tackling vendor delays.
It is. And what's especially valuable is that these insights are coming from the people who are in the trenches,
Yeah.
dealing with these challenges day in and day out.
It's real-world wisdom at its finest.
Yes.
But let's be honest, even with the best strategies in place, sometimes you just can't avoid a delay.
True.
So what happens when that dreaded moment arrives
Yeah.
and you realize you're facing a significant setback?
Well, our real-world experts had some great advice for navigating those choppy waters, too. They emphasized the importance of swift action and decisive decision-making.
So it's not about burying your head in the sand and hoping the problem goes away.
No.
It's about facing it head on and taking control of the situation.
Exactly. One person shared this approach. To keep the project scope intact, despite timeline delays with vendors, I maintain clear and constant communication, set strict deadlines, and closely monitor progress.
Okay.
It's about taking ownership and setting clear expectations, even when things are feeling a bit chaotic.
I like that proactive mindset.
And another person had a similar take. I swiftly address any issues that arise, making necessary adjustments to keep everything on track.
Yeah.
So being adaptable and willing to make changes as needed without letting those changes derail the entire project.
Absolutely. And it's not just about reacting quickly. It's about mitigating the impact
Yes.
of the delay as much as possible.
One insightful person shared this, exploring alternative resources and solutions to mitigate delays, ensuring all stakeholders are informed and aligned with any changes. So having that plan B and maybe even a plan C ready to roll and making sure everyone involved is aware of the new plan.
Yeah, that's crucial.
It is.
Keeping everyone in the loop can prevent misunderstandings,
Yeah.
unnecessary stress down the line.
And here's another piece of gold from the discussion. Prioritizing key project elements and collaborating with the team to stay aligned with our objectives.
Yeah.
So even when facing a delay, it's important to stay focused on the bigger picture
Right.
and make sure everyone is still working towards the same goals.
Sometimes you need to reprioritize tasks or adjust the scope slightly to accommodate a delay, but it's crucial to make sure those adjustments align with the overall project objectives.
Exactly. And that brings us to another critical point, communication with stakeholders.
Oh, absolutely.
Transparency is key,
Yeah.
especially when things aren't going exactly as planned.
Keeping stakeholders informed helps manage expectations.
Yeah.
Prevent those last-minute surprises
Right.
that can lead to frustration and distrust.
One person put it this way: keep stakeholders informed of the challenges and the revised plan. Ensure their buy-in to avoid conflicts over scope or timelines.
That's a great point. It's about involving stakeholders in the solution,
Yes.
not just informing them of the problem.
Exactly. Now, I know we've talked a lot about the practical steps of handling a delay,
Right.
but there's also like an important mental aspect to consider.
Well, I know what you mean. It's easy to get caught up in the stress and frustration.
Yeah.
And a delay throws a wrench in your carefully laid plans.
Right. That's why our real-world experts emphasize the importance of staying calm and level-headed.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is, but when you panic, you're more likely to make rash decisions that could make the situation worse.
For sure, for sure.
One person offered this sage advice: stop the engines, take a deep dive and look into the project plan and review the backlog and constraints.
Okay, so instead of jumping into firefighting mode,
Right.
you take a moment to breathe,
Yes.
analyze the situation,
Uh-huh.
come up with a strategic approach.
Exactly. And before you jump to solutions, it's important to understand the root cause of the delay.
Okay.
Another person shared this: understand the root cause and issues which causing the delay. Assess the impact, then propose with a mitigation plan and next feasible timeline.
Sometimes a delay is unavoidable,
Right.
but sometimes it's a symptom of a larger issue that needs to be addressed.
Exactly. And sometimes the best solution is to simply ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to reach out to colleagues, mentors, or even external consultants for guidance and support.
That's a great reminder. We don't have to go it alone.
We don't.
Now, when you're facing a delay, it's easy to assume it's always the vendor's fault.
Right.
But I imagine there are times when the situation's a bit more nuanced.
You're absolutely right. And that's something else that came up in the discussion.
Right.
They emphasized the importance of understanding the full context of the delay before assigning blame.
Okay, give me an example of what you mean.
Okay, so one person put it this way: what is the impact of the delay to the project? Is the delay real, unavoidable, or caused by factors that need to be handled with care, such as a death in the team family or accident? Is it poor management on their part? Or is the delivery simply difficult? They're highlighting the importance of considering all the factors at play before jumping to conclusions.
Right. Sometimes a delay is truly unavoidable.
Yes.
Due to circumstances beyond anyone's control.
Exactly. And someone else added, if it is related to a service contract, you need to start damage control as early as possible. If it is a material purchase contract, then it can be manageable with alternatives.
Okay.
So the type of contract and the nature of the deliverables.
Right. So the approach will vary
It will.
depending on the specific circumstances of the delay.
Exactly. It's all about being adaptable, understanding the nuances of the situation, and coming up with the best solution for that particular challenge.
This is all incredibly helpful. I'm
Good.
feeling much more equipped to deal with vendor delays now. But I'm also curious, is there anything we can do to prevent these delays from happening in the first place?
Yeah.
Or is it just an inevitable part of project management?
Well, our real-world experts had a lot to say about that, too.
Okay.
And it all starts with careful vendor selection.
Okay, so it's not just about choosing the cheapest option or the vendor with the fastest turnaround time.
No.
It's about taking a more strategic approach.
Exactly. One person put it this way: actually, the battle is won or lost at the time of vendor selection. One has to take care to ensure the right vendors are selected. It's about doing your research, evaluating potential vendors carefully, and choosing partners who have a proven track record of reliability, quality, and good communication.
So investing the time up front to choose the right partners,
exactly.
rather than trying to cut corners and ending up with a vendor who might cause problems down the line.
Right. And another key point they emphasized is the importance of clear communication and documentation right from the beginning. One person mentioned this: clear and open communication at the beginning of the project award is a must. Submit a nomination letter, which include key milestones and project requirements.
So establishing those clear expectations,
Yes,
having everything documented in writing
exactly.
to avoid any misunderstandings or disputes later on.
Precisely. And it's not just about communication at the start of the project.
Right.
They also stress the importance of ongoing performance monitoring throughout the project lifecycle.
So staying on top of things,
Yes.
keeping an eye on how your vendors are performing,
Yep.
addressing any potential issues early on before they escalate into major delays.
Exactly. One person shared their approach. Proactively monitor progress, maintain constant communication with vendors to expedite timelines, and adjust internal schedules as necessary.
Okay.
So being proactive, communicative, and adaptable.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Are there any tools or techniques that can help streamline this process?
Absolutely. So remember those project management tools and spreadsheets we talked about earlier? They're perfect for tracking progress, communicating with vendors, and keeping everything organized.
Yeah.
One person even mentioned using a tool to document reviews with the vendor and follow a structured quality management process.
Okay.
They also highlighted the importance of regular team meetings to review progress, identify potential bottlenecks, and make adjustments as needed.
So having a system in place,
Yeah,
stay organized, track progress, and communicate effectively throughout the project.
exactly. Now, on top of all those practical tips, our real-world experts had one more crucial piece of advice for preventing vendor delays.
Okay.
Build strong relationships.
That theme keeps coming back.
It does.
It seems like building strong relationships is a key ingredient for success in just about every aspect of project management.
You're right. One person put it this way: working as a team partner, or still in the mindset of client and vendor. It's about shifting your mindset from a transactional relationship to a collaborative partnership.
So viewing your vendors as allies,
Yes.
not just suppliers.
Exactly. And good communication is essential for building that trust and rapport.
For sure.
Someone pointed out, delays do not occur all of a sudden for regular processes. It's a clear gap of communication if it happens.
Yeah.
So open and honest communication can help prevent misunderstandings and address potential issues
Right.
before they become major problems.
I can definitely see that when there's a strong foundation of trust and communication, you're more likely to work together effectively to prevent and resolve issues.
Exactly. And it's not just about being a good communicator. It's
Yes.
also about being a good listener.
Right.
Someone shared this insightful advice. Have a deeper understanding of the delay. Sometimes it could be expedited with additional capacity versus sometimes it can be out of your or vendor boundaries as well. Have a transparent and action-oriented conversation with your vendor counterpart with an art of possible approach.
Sometimes a delay is unavoidable.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is listen to your vendor, understand their challenges, and work collaboratively to find a solution.
And remember, flexibility is key things. Don't always go exactly as planned, and sometimes you need to be willing to adjust the scope timeline or budget slightly to accommodate a vendor delay.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between holding your vendors accountable and being understanding when legitimate challenges arise.
Exactly. One person put it this way: not everything has to be done exactly as planned. Sometimes it's okay to adjust the scope or timeline slightly to accommodate a vendor delay.
Right.
So being pragmatic and solution-oriented.
So adaptable and willing to compromise when necessary
Yeah.
without losing sight of the overall project objectives.
Exactly. And someone else shared this encouraging thought. Vendor delays are a common challenge in project business, but they don't have to derail your plans.
Okay.
It's about keeping things in perspective and remembering that even with delays, you can still achieve your goals.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed when a delay throws a wrench in your plans,
Right.
but it's important to remember that it's not the end of the world.
Now, on top of everything we've discussed, there's one more important element to preventing vendor delays:
Okay.
clear contracts and service level agreements, SLAs.
Yes, the legal side of things. Can you
Yeah.
explain a bit more about why those are so important?
Absolutely. Clear contracts and SLAs set the ground rules for the relationship between you and your vendors.
Okay.
They outline expectations, responsibilities, and consequences for delays or other performance issues.
So protecting both parties and ensuring that everyone is on the same page from a legal standpoint.
Exactly. One person in the discussion put it this way: incorporate SLAs and performance incentives to drive accountability.
Okay.
So setting clear expectations and consequences for delays, which can help motivate vendors to meet their commitments.
Right, because let's be honest, sometimes a little bit of incentive can go a long way.
And another person highlighted the importance of specificity in contracts. If your vendor contract is not specifying timeline expectations on repeatable deliverables, then trying to ensure they meet timelines in the future will be difficult. So it's not enough to just have a contract.
Right.
It needs to be clear, detailed, and unambiguous to avoid disputes down the line.
So being thorough and anticipating potential issues before they arise.
Exactly. Now, beyond contracts and legal agreements, there's one more piece of advice that I think is incredibly valuable.
Okay.
Get to know your vendors.
Okay, this is taking the whole relationship building thing to a new level.
Yeah.
What do you mean by get to know your vendors?
It's about going beyond the surface level and understanding their internal processes, capabilities, and even their company culture.
That's interesting. How does understanding their internal workings help prevent delays?
Well, if you know how your vendor operates,
Okay.
you're more likely to be able to anticipate potential bottlenecks or challenges that could lead to delays.
Okay.
You can also tailor your communication and expectations accordingly.
I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah.
For example, if you know that a particular vendor has a very bureaucratic approval process, you might build extra time for that step to avoid delays down the line.
Exactly. And some people even suggested visiting your vendor's facilities
Wow.
to get a firsthand look at their operations.
That's dedication. But I can see how it would be valuable to get that kind of behind-the-scenes insight.
Absolutely. And it's not just about understanding their processes.
Right.
It's also about understanding their company culture.
Oh, that's interesting. How does company culture play into vendor delays?
Well, someone in the discussion pointed out that sometimes delays are caused by cultural differences or misunderstandings.
Okay.
For example, a vendor from a culture that values indirect communication might not be as forthcoming about potential problems
Right.
as a vendor from a culture that values directness.
That's a really good point. Cultural differences can definitely lead to communication breakdowns and delays if you're not aware of them.
Exactly. So it's about being sensitive to those differences, adapting your communication style accordingly, and building a relationship based on mutual understanding and respect.
I'm getting a much clearer picture of how to approach vendor management strategically.
Good.
It's not just about reacting to problems.
Right.
It's about proactively preventing them, building strong collaborative relationships with your vendors.
You got it. And I think that's a perfect segue to our next topic. How do we minimize the impact of vendor delays on our projects, even if we've done everything right and a delay still happens?
All right, let's dive into that because let's face it, no matter how well prepared we are,
Yeah,
delays are bound to happen at some point.
it's true.
So we've talked about preventing delays and even how to handle them when they pop up.
Yeah.
But what about the bigger picture?
Right.
How do vendor delays really affect the success of a project overall?
You know, that's a great question. And the answer is they can have a pretty significant negative impact.
Yeah.
We're talking potential cost overruns,
Right.
missed deadlines, and in some cases, even project failures.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that domino effect of a delay at some point in our careers.
Yeah, it's not just an inconvenience.
Right.
It can really throw a wrench in the whole machine.
Totally. And it's not just those immediate consequences, right?
Right.
Delays can also damage relationships with stakeholders, hurt team morale, and even affect the reputation of the project manager
Yep.
and the organization as a whole.
It's a big deal.
So it's not just about the project itself.
Yeah,
It's about the wider impact on people and relationships.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's so crucial to take vendor delays seriously and have strong strategies in place to prevent and mitigate them.
Okay, so we know delays are bad news.
Yeah.
But what can we do to minimize their impact when they do happen?
Okay, so our real-world experts had some thoughts on this.
Okay.
And one of the most common themes was the importance of proactive risk management.
Yep.
It's about identifying those potential risks early on
Okay.
and having a plan to address them if they materialize.
So it's like that old saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Exactly. One person put it this way: identify and assess potential risks early on and develop contingency plans to address them.
So having that plan B, or even a plan C ready to go just in case.
Exactly. And it's not just about creating a plan and then forgetting about it.
Right.
It's about actively managing risks throughout the entire project lifecycle.
Yeah, because the project landscape is constantly changing, right?
It is.
So your risk management plan needs to be flexible enough to adapt.
Absolutely. Someone else emphasized that Regularly review your risk assessment and adjust your plans as needed.
Right, because new risks can emerge and the severity of existing risks can change as the project progresses.
Exactly, and communication is key here too.
Oh, for sure.
One person highlighted the importance of keep stakeholders informed of potential risks and delays and involve them in finding solutions.
That makes sense.
So being transparent and collaborative in your approach to risk management.
Keeping stakeholders in the loop
Yeah.
helps build trust and ensures everyone is working together towards a solution.
Exactly, and when a delay does happen, flexibility is crucial.
Okay.
Someone said, be willing to adjust the scope or timeline of the project if necessary to accommodate a vendor delay.
Right.
Sometimes you need to be willing to compromise to keep the project moving forward.
So being realistic and adaptable,
Yeah,
understanding that you might need to make some adjustments to your original plan.
exactly. And sometimes, as tough as it might be, the best solution is to simply accept the delay
Right.
and adjust your timeline accordingly.
I can see how that would be a tough pill to swallow,
It can be.
especially if you're under pressure to meet a specific deadline.
It is, but sometimes it's the most pragmatic approach, especially if trying to force a faster solution would compromise quality or create other problems down the line.
So it's about choosing your battles,
Yes.
focusing on the long-term success of the project.
Now, in addition to all of these strategies, the folks in the discussion also emphasize the importance of having a strong project team in place.
That makes sense. A skilled and cohesive team can be a real asset when facing challenges like vendor delays.
Absolutely. One person put it this way: a cohesive and experienced team can overcome many challenges, including vendor delays.
Right.
So having the right people with the right skills and experience to navigate those tricky situations.
And it's not just about assembling a team of superstars. It's about investing in their development and providing them with the tools and support they need to excel.
Exactly. Someone else shared this. Invest in training and development for your team members to equip them with the skills and knowledge to manage vendor relationships effectively.
So equipping your team with the right knowledge and tools can empower them to handle those challenging situations with confidence.
And of course, strong leadership is crucial too.
Oh, yeah.
A good leader can inspire and motivate the team to stay focused and productive even when facing adversity.
And remember that idea of learning from experience.
Yeah.
Well, one person in the discussion had this to say about it. Every vendor delay is an opportunity to learn and improve your processes. So it's not just about putting out fires.
No.
It's about using those experiences to get better and prevent similar issues from happening again.
They even suggested conducting post-project reviews to identify lessons learned and develop strategies for improvement.
Turning those negative experiences into opportunities for growth and development.
Exactly.
Okay, wow, we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From proactive strategies to AI-powered solutions and the wisdom of experienced project managers, we've explored a whole toolkit for tackling those pesky vendor delays.
I think the key takeaway is that vendor delays are a reality of project management,
Yeah,
but they don't have to derail your success.
right.
With the right knowledge, tools, and mindset, you can navigate those challenges effectively and keep your projects on track.
And remember, it's not just about the technical side of things.
Right.
Building strong relationships with your vendors based on trust, communication, and collaboration can make all the difference.
Absolutely. Treat your vendors as partners, not just suppliers, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve together.
So to our listeners, the next time you're facing a vendor delay, take a deep breath. Remember what we've discussed today and use those strategies to turn that challenge into an opportunity for growth and success.
And remember, we're all in this together.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to reach out to your network, share your experiences, and learn from each other.
That's what the deep dive is all about. Until next time, happy project managing.
Yes.